This is Gene Acasella from Port St. John, Florida, and you're listening to the Really Big Barbecue Central Show.
Start the game! Let's go!
We'll do it live. Okay. Well, do it live! I'll write it and we'll do it live!
So to get that perfect barbecue, you use wood. Are you sure it's safe? Whatever. We put the lighter fluid on, strike the match, and... Oh! Should we call the fire department? That might be a good idea.
Good evening and welcome to the Really Big Barbecue Central Show. This is the show that talks about all things important in the world of barbecue and grilling. The show originating from the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame city, Bomb City, USA, Cleveland, Ohio, the barbecue capital of the North Coast. I am your program host, Greg Rempe. Happy to have you aboard here on your Tuesday evening. Negative on your Wednesday Hump Day live fire barbecue and grilling show. If you have always wanted to jump in on the show, but Tuesday has never been your day, but Hump Day is, here's how you do it.
You can get in touch with the show by sending an email to Greg at BBQCentralShow.com. Follow us on all the social media channels at BBQ Central Show. And be sure to subscribe to the show podcast feed on your favorite podcast platform.
Anything else you want to find out about the show can be found at the main website, thebbqcentralshow.com. And here's what's happening in case you get the newsletter coming up in about 12 minutes from now. It is the first Tuesday of a month, if you can believe it. We're already in May, and helping me break May open in grand style, none other than the pitmaster of Killer Hogs and the co-creator of How to BBQ Right, Malcom Reed, joins us once more. The fifth time already here in 2023, which we certainly appreciate. And there'll be some extensive talk about the Memphis and May competition that's coming up, amongst some other things. So always looking forward to talking with Malcom. 35 past the hour. We had slated Rob Reinhardt from Prairie BBQ up there in Canada. However, that didn't work out.
Get that big stuff out of here.
To backfill Rob, we have the ever-popular, long overdue, don't have enough during the course of the year type of segment, the world-famous open segment, where I have a number of housekeeping items to get through, a number of updates to give you as it relates to the show, the podcast feed, the new Barbecue Central Show website, and a new barbecue series that you may or may not be familiar with. It was promoted a couple weeks ago. I might have mentioned it on the show after I had seen it a day or two beforehand, whenever that most recent show was that I might have mentioned it. But something you're going to want to take note of and follow. If you were a fan of Sam's Club at any point during that lifespan, this is something you'll definitely want to keep an eye on. So we'll talk about that 35 past the first hour as well. And that'll bring the first hour to a close, and then we'll move to the second hour, where we will find the second hour, first Tuesday of the month, regular guest Sam the Cooking Guy. Quickly approaching 4 million subscribers, and we have plenty to talk about. Last month, Sam did the interview, and then the next day, found a plane to take him to South Korea, where they did a week or so of shooting. Last month was the kickoff of Smash Month on Sam's YouTube channel, where they did a whole bunch of smash burger, smash everything. Anything that they cooked, those 12 episodes or whatever they were, 3 times a week, times 4 is 12, unless there was an extra week in April that I'm not aware of, but I don't think there was. So at least 12 smash recipes. I watched each and every one of them. A lot of good ideas that I am taking away and going to try at home. However, there was one thing that I found particularly interesting about all of Smash Month, and if we have enough time to get to me bringing it up, which I know Sam is not going to want me to do, because he probably doesn't even realize he did it, but I do because I keep tabs on things like this. There was one specific thing that didn't happen in Smash Month that could have happened every time in Smash Month. I will let you figure it out from there as I tease you the only way I know how to do. And then 35 past the second hour, there's a really good chance Sam might extend out, so we'll we'll fill the backside of that segment with whatever I didn't get to in the 35 past the hour segment as well. By the way, there's a good chance that Malcolm could fill more than the normal segment as well, so if things are going well, certainly no restrictions on Malcolm or Sam here this evening. Plus your emails as well. Don't send them to Greg at thebbqcentralshow.com because I will not get them. That's a whole situation that we're working on. However, hopefully in the next week or two, we'll have that rectified. Instead, send them to Greg Remp. I have 75 different emails, but half of them are not working right now. How about this one? Greg Rempe 1974. My first and last name and birth year 1974 at gmail.com. Greg Rempe 1974 at gmail.com. If you want to send an email, if you want to ask a question, there is a chance that we might be giving away some rubs here this evening. Did you know Dr. Barbecue has 4 new rubs out? I'll be giving a pair away here this evening, or one to one person and the second one to another lucky winner. We'll see how it goes. But don't email me in the normal show email until I tell you it's okay. Instead, use the ever-confusing Greg Rempe 1974, which is what I give to anybody I feel might be spamming me. And then I usually just send all that stuff into the spam folder from Gmail. But I will look at it tonight as it is show night, so that's how it's laying out here this evening. Malcom Reed in the first hour, Sam the Cooking Guy in the second hour. Don't forget you can follow me socially, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and Snapchat at BBQ Central Show. We also say good evening to those of you watching tonight through one of our video streaming platform partners. You can go to Facebook and Twitch/BBQ Central Show. You can also watch via YouTube/RD Rempe. And we are streaming audibly on Clubhouse as well. And now we have a new YouTube poll question of the week. And it's a hot one right now. Battery-powered cookers will be the next big thing in live fire, yes or no? And currently, 90% of you are saying no!
Get that big stuff out of here.
I believe Derek Riches is also in agreement with that. I will save my answer until a little bit later in the show. Maybe it's something that I will mention during one of the open portions of the show here. But right now, 90% of you are saying no. Battery-powered cookers are not going to be a thing in the live fire industry. So let's start here this evening. Many of you emailed and messaged me with great concern for our new pal, Brad Robinson from Chud's Barbecue, about his decision to not go after people that rip off his builds. Now, he did mention that he has some patents. However, when I did follow up with him on if he would put any teeth behind those if pressed, he said yes. Then he quickly said, well, probably not. And a lot of you are reacting to that in a concerned manner, which I certainly understand. So let me help all of you concerned citizens out. Since you evidently aren't reaching out to Brad directly and you're running it back to me instead, business is tricky, number one. Business in the live fire industry is especially tricky when it comes to intellectual property and patents and trademarks and all this other stuff. How should one go about deciding to protect? Gang, would you believe right now, this very instant, there's a company that is living this life. They claim to have created a technology in this industry, which everybody knows they didn't. However, they got the patents awarded to them, and now they are actively trying to put another company out of business. And rumor has it, what they really want, by the way, rule number 1 of the show, no names, please. But what they really want is a royalty from this company that they're suing. And if that ever happens, watch out for everybody else, because they will most likely be coming for everyone else to get their protection money from as well. But I digress. In Brad's case, it's a bit tricky because he mentioned last week he has some videos about how to build a chud box. So it would be hard to go back at someone for stealing your IP if you're out there telling everybody how to do it. Now, maybe what he has patents for isn't anything to do with the Chud box. Maybe it's something else completely. That's a different story. But I don't think there is any manufacturer out there right now that would go to Brad and look to do the right thing by him. I think the bigger companies would do a straight ripoff and hope not to get caught, or hope that Brad wouldn't put any teeth on his IP, and they will just continue to rip him off. Certainly, it would be nice to think that a company would call Brad and say, hey, we love the design. Can we license it from you? Or, as I had mentioned last week, can we just buy the whole thing from you? We can feel we can scale it out more easily to the masses. We think it's going to be the next live fire revolution. We want to take your great idea to the masses. That would be ideal, but it's rarely the case because the bigger guys with the deeper pockets don't have any reason to care about doing it right. At least not until they get caught and when someone takes them to task on it. So we wish Brad success, and to ease the concern that you had over his sayings of last week, I say this. If Brad isn't concerned, then I'm not going to be concerned. It's his business, not anyone else's. But we continue to wish him success. All right, Malcom Reed is ready to rock and roll in the green room. We'll get to him here in just 1 second. I will talk to you about Pits and Spits, the best looking, best cooking smokers and grills on the planet. Pits and Spits offers a full family of products, including traditional offset smokers, wood pellet grills, charcoal grills, travel grills, combination pits, fire pits, and much more. Pits and Spits has been one of the only American fabrication shops that's focused on smokers and grills for almost 40 years. Why is this important? Because they're able to put an emphasis on quality and design. They can locally source materials and put unmatched attention and detail into every cooker. From the fully welded barrels to the heavy gauge steel, they bring both function and beauty to life. Pits and Spits builds every product with the intention that it's going to get passed down from generation to generation. Doesn't matter if you're a competition cook or if you're just a backyard hack like me. It helps the barbecue and grilling game get raised to the next level. There is a product for you in the portfolio offering. Check them out at pitsandspits.com/BBQ Central. That's pitsandspits.com/BBQ Central. That's Pits and Spits with a double T and a double T on the Pits and the Spits. Use promo code BBQ Central at checkout for a free spice pack with your order of $500 or more. That's whether you're accumulating accessories or if you just buy one of the cookers that they offer. That's definitely going to be more than $500. So order and then use promo code BBQ Central at checkout for that free spice pack. We are back with Malcom Reed from Killer Hogs and How to BBQ Right. Stick around, be right back.
You're listening to the BBQ Central Show. Broadcasting live from the BBQ Central Show studios in Cleveland, Ohio. You're listening to the BBQ Central Show. Once again, here's your host, Greg Rempe.
This portion of the show being brought to you by cookinpellets.com, your number one source for quality wood pellets for all your pellet-driven cookers. Visit cookinpellets.com for more information or to purchase. You can also peruse their website for some other products that might help a little smoky goodness be lent to whatever it is you're cooking on those pellet-driven cookers. That's cookinpellets.com. Smokin' Joe's Pit Barbecue is writing in. Please send all nude photos to gregrempe1974@gmail.com. Don't do that. Joe, nobody wants to see any of that. Ever. Especially me in my secret spam email. Hey, it is the first Tuesday of May, and that means we are visited once again by our pal Malcom Reed. Malcom, YouTube poll question of the week is, will battery-powered cookers be a thing in live fire this year? Yes or no?
I'm gonna say no. I'm gonna go with the majority on that one,
right.
Greg.
By the way, the majority is just trending down a little bit. It was 90 in the open. However, as we lead in with you here, by the way, it says Brad Robinson there, and obviously I didn't go in and fix that, but I'll get that here in a second while we're talking. 86% are saying no, it will not be a thing here during the 2023 season. Do you think it has any legs whatsoever, or is that just something that's not really going to happen?
I can see it in some situations where people want to get off the grid and want that battery backup for running pellet grills, things like that. And, we have, you got to think about it. Some of these grills that have igniters on them, even in the propane world or the flat top world, have little regular AA batteries in there for the igniter. So there's a place for some battery action, but I don't think you're ever going to really, take over that live fire and smoke.
You don't see a full-size battery-powered grill in the backyard as something people might go after on the regular?
Yeah, not just yet. I think we're a ways away from that.
Malcom Reed joins us here on the show as he does the first Tuesday of every month. So before we get into the live fire stuff, Malcolm, I have a bone to pick. It's not with you, but it's with your TikTok Tyler fella, who specifically said on the most recent How to BBQ Right podcast that, and this is not a sports show, but we're going to turn it into a sports show here for just a second. He said that LeBron James is the biggest crybaby in the league. But I wonder if Tyler doesn't watch every other NBA player in the league, because it is a league full of criers and I never did that doers. And the Knicks are the worst at it. And meanwhile, that dope Dylan Brooks decided to run his mouth at LeBron. LeBron obviously takes them out, and I know Memphis is your team. So badly that from the time I had just put this in the outline till now, the Grizzlies have run Derek Brooks or Dylan Brooks out of town. He's an unrestricted free agent. They told him they will not sign him under any circumstance. I think that might be a little aggressive, but geez Louise, when we get back to the crying in the league, does Tyler not look at the rest of the league as criers and it's just LeBron?
I think that was just because we were keyed in on that Lakers series and really wanting the Grizzlies to do good. But to me, it feels like we're watching soccer in a way. You see all those guys take the falls and the complaints and try to get the cards pulled. We're seeing that in the NBA, man. And that's just not so, I like the old school NBA where those guys, it was grit and grind. And, that's basketball to me. So.
The most fascinating basketball argument that I am willing to entertain, a lot of stuff I won't entertain, like who's the best player, things like this. But it's when we were growing up, we're of the same age here. So I'm talking about mid-'80s to obviously through the 90s. That was smash mouth basketball. That was AFC Central type basketball where there was physicality. You knew if you were driving the lane, you were going to end up on your ass. People were going to foul hard. And if you took a lot of those players, especially like Michael Jordan, I think if you transition Michael Jordan into the league now, he would dominate just because there isn't nearly the physicality that's allowed in basketball as there was back then. However, I will make the converse argument that if you transition LeBron James back into the smash mouth, he's built to take it. I don't think it would really affect his game at all, but Michael could potentially be even more dominant if he was in his prime now than back then.
Yeah, a lot of that I think is LeBron is a big guy. He's got the physique for it. And so when he's crying to the refs, it stands out more than Steph Curry or somebody little that's kind of got a point, or Ja taking it to the rack every single time and getting knocked down. Those guys may have a point, but going back to your point about those early teams, you look at the old Celtics teams and the old Detroit teams, those were hard smash mouth basketball.
And those were guys that fought on the court. Not a lot of pushing and dancing. We're talking fisticuffs.
It was rough. Those were the golden years of basketball right there.
That's when men played basketball.
That's
right. Not these finesse players out there. Malcolm, we have Memphis in May coming up. We hyped it up just a little bit last month, but now we are really in the teeth of it. And you can confirm this rumor for me. I've heard it through a couple various sources. Are you guys doing whole hog this year?
We are. We're going to swing out there and try our luck with the hog this year.
How do you
It's been a minute
practice?
since we cooked the hog.
Ribs you can practice all day long. Very easy access. Same thing with shoulders. I would imagine that practicing hog becomes very expensive, very quick. I'm not saying that you and the team don't know how to do hog. Obviously, it's a forte of yours, especially. But, I mean, if you want to get some practice in, there's only one way to practice a whole hog, and that's by cooking whole hog. So are you doing a number of those or what?
Well, I think we're up to this weekend will be number 14.
Are you kidding?
Since the first of the year.
Holy moly.
I mean, you got to get it down. That's a lot of practice. You do the weight on that. Those hogs average 150 pounds we're cooking. They're yielding out probably by the time we get through trimming them, getting them comp trimmed and everything, we might get about 70, 75 pounds of meat after the fact. But that's a lot of pork.
What are you doing with all the meat?
We do different things. We donate some of it. We give it to friends. We give it to family. Sometimes we're doing it for events. Several of those are contests. The guys are out cooking. It's whatever we can do with it. Put it in the freezer. I've got more than I need at my house, so I'm in the giveaway mode.
Where are you at in the dialed in for the event? I mean, we're only a short time away now. I would imagine you got to be pretty close.
Yeah, we've got 2 weeks, and we've kind of got the flavor profile down that we're going for. Then we've got our times and temps down. So now it's just about executing and hoping we get lucky. Because, Memphis and May, I go in every year and I tell you, Greg, I've been on here. This is our year. We're going to win it all. I'm telling you that this year. You got to have that attitude. But it takes a lot of luck in what we're doing, too. I mean, there's so many good teams down that compete in Memphis and May, and they've narrowed it down this year, cut the field down, as everybody's heard. So it's either going to be tighter competitions by the ones that are in there. It's a bunch of good teams. So we're going to be going head to head with guys that are just, world champs. So it's a tough contest to cook.
Do you have more practice cooks in the hopper here yet, or are you done practicing and now you're just gearing towards the cook?
We got one more this weekend. The guys are going out. So we kind of tag teamed up with I know you've probably heard of Mark's been on here. He steps in for me when I can't make it sometimes from Swine Life. He's one of my employees, and him and his brother Jamie have been out in the NBN circuit cooking hogs and doing really well. And so we'll cook them here at the shop. We'll cook them, they're out cooking in contests, putting in front of some judges. They've been up, with our pit builder up in Indiana, Mr. J. Craig from Outlaw Pits. That's the pit we're cooking on this year. So they've been up cooking some hogs with him throughout the winter, and it's been a lot of practice and a lot of learning the pits, and because it's different. The one we're cooking on is actually a stick burner, but it's got a firebox on the bottom underneath the hog too. So we're kind of emulating old fashioned brick pit hogs, where you see the guys shovel the coals and they can move them around under the shoulders and the hams, and speed the hams up or slow the loins down by the placement of the coals. We're doing that with this pit at the same time, running it like a stick burner, so it's getting heat over the top as well. So it's a really old-fashioned taste, the flavor of it. It's really good.
I've often thought that if the hog is cooked well, it will always beat the perfectly cooked rib or the perfectly cooked shoulder because of the skill it takes to cook everything in the animal to perfection. Otherwise, it seems like a big risk to undertake. Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I've always, coming from the rib category the past few years, that's been one of my speaking points, to where these guys are cooking hogs. They got a lot of meat to pick from. They can find something on there perfect to put in the blind box. They can feed you as a judge. They can feed you from that. They've got a lot of choices to bring out to you. I've got 10, 11 bones here. I've got to make these as good as that whole animal they're cooking. So I think that being in hog this year, I've got a lot of places to go get good stuff. So it's it's gonna be a challenge, but I think cooking hogs, when people ask me, it is my favorite thing to cook, the hog, because it's always a team effort. You get a group of guys around, you sit there and you babysit that thing, and you feed a lot of people with it when it's done. And it's the epitome of being a pit master, being able to cook a whole hog and get the ham, get the shoulder, get the loin, get all that perfectly right at the same time.
Do you have any idea how many other teams are cooking hog this year?
I haven't counted them, but I would imagine it's in the neighborhood of 35 maybe, something like that.
And there were 100
Probably.
how many teams were there this year?
I think there's 140 this year total. Yeah, something like that. No, I've seen the list, but I didn't look at the numbers. I didn't actually go through there and count the list.
Last week during the embedded correspondence segment, I asked the gentlemen for their thoughts on if they thought, look, we're just nonsense talkers on this show, of course. So, this is what we do. However, I said, hey, what do you think on that there might be a fix-in of sorts to ensure that Blues Hog doesn't win back-to-back overall grand championships again? All three of the guys thought that this would be the case, that they wouldn't see the overall grand championship. Do you have any thought on that?
I don't know, man. I don't think it's just almost impossible to fix Memphis and May because there's so many teams and you've got the blind element and you've got the onside element. You've got to nail all aspects of it. You've got to get lucky enough to win that blind table. That's the big thing. So when it comes down to it, I mean, if you can cook a good hog or cook a good shoulder, cook a good rib, and you can get on a good table and you can beat everybody on that table because you have to be the clear winner of the table to move forward. And then you have to be able to sell it too. So is it possible? Yeah, man, there's been guys that do, look at Myron, look at Melissa, look at a lot of the guys, Chris Lilly. I mean, these guys have done it multiple times, and some of them back to back. So I don't think there's a fix to keep them out because those guys can flat cook. I mean, you look at
I think
Tim,
that's what the idea
Brad,
was, that they were gonna fix because they felt it was like they didn't deserve to get in there and win it the way they did it, and they're KCBS guys, and it was kind of a coup, and they want to reclaim it, make sure that some of the old guard is going to win the title back from them, if you will.
Yeah, I don't know. I hadn't really heard that kind of talk, but I mean, I don't see it. I don't know. Maybe they fix it to where I can't win it. I feel like that sometimes.
That's what it is. You bastards. We finally figured it out. I wasn't going to flesh it out, Malcolm, but I'm glad you brought it up because now I'm going to run it up the hill and see how far it goes. Although whenever I email the Memphis and May International Festival, they never reply back to me, which is odd, but nevertheless. So you are going to do whole hog. Let's say you get through the blind portion. Now you're going to do the on-site. In essence, you got to cook two different hogs, right? You're going to be cooking in one for the blind, and then you have to have another one ready for the on-sites?
We are, and that's what's that's what's going to make this a challenge. That's one thing that we haven't practiced yet is cooking two at the same time because we are going to stagger them because that finals round doesn't happen till hour and a half, 2 hours after the first round. So we don't want to hold that hog that long. And so we're just going to delay putting it on a little bit. So we'll be, a little bit behind in our process. But we need one side of a hog to make a blind box. And that gives us another side to do 3 on-site judges the first round. And it gives us a whole hog to pick from in finals. It hasn't been touched. It hasn't been, nothing's been pulled off of it. We've got all that great meat there. And we're just going to have to get the best we can off one for the blind and for the first preliminary round.
When you're turning in the blind box, do you have to go and take from the hams and from the shoulder and ribs and like everything that you would typically know off of? There's a standard?
In the box, in the Memphis and May contest, you're judged on shoulder, the loin, and the ham, and that's it. That's all you can have in the box. And you have to have them kind of separated to where you can tell which is which. You can't just put all shoulder and some loin. You've got to have all 3 of those in there.
Is there any consternation that the hog that you're using to do blind is going to be better than the show hog? How do you make sure you're as consistent as possible?
I hope they're going to be cooked at different times. So the finals hog won't be ready, so I don't think that's going to be a choice. We know that it's going to, be a little behind. If some reason why it got, if they happen to get done around the same time, which they probably won't, we would then go to, try to test them and see what they're feeling like. It would be a feel thing. but we're going to put the best one we have in the blind box. I don't care which side of the hog it is or which hog it comes from. Whichever one we think is the best is going in the blind, because that's what gets you there. I mean, I can talk about a hog all day long and get in with some subpar meat just by selling it. That's a big part of the Memphis and May thing. You got to put on a little show for them and tell them how you did it and why you did it, and you can influence them a little bit by the way you talk to a judge. But that blind has got to speak for itself, so it's got to be the absolute best meat that you have.
Are you cooking it butterflied or splayed, or do you do a running style thing? Like I know the shed uses a robo hog or whatever the hell they cook it. How do you do yours?
So we're doing ours the old-fashioned way, where it's just laying on its back, skin down. We don't have to flip it in this pit, even because we have the heat from the top, so we can get the top done and create a bark on it. But we can also get the skin crispy on bottom, where the skin's absolutely edible and it's delicious. And we do that by putting the coals underneath it and moving them around to the areas we need them to go. So it'll be laying on his back the whole time, kind of splayed open.
Malcolm, we wish you good luck to the Memphis in May, of course. We know it's pared down a little bit, but perhaps that makes the competition even a little tighter, considering the names that are going to be there. A lot of those folks have won their particular segments a number of times, and then a lot of those folks have won it in the overall sense as well. So we'll see. Outside of you being the favorite, who are you pointing to as potentially coming up and grabbing a victory out of your hands?
Oh, man. You know, I say every year that it's got to be a rib year, because ribs haven't won Memphis in May in probably over 20 years. So eventually you got to think they got to come up and they got to beat the hogs, or they got to beat the shoulders. So my buddy Heath Riles had a great year and won ribs last year. I'm looking for him to do, you know, really well this year too in ribs. Shoulders, you can never count out Mark Lambert. His team, they slide in. It seems like every other year they're in there for the hunt. And they were in there last year. I think he won shoulders last year. So, you know, he's right there. So he's got to be a favorite. You know, Chris Lilly will be back. I don't think Myron's going to be there. So
that's the second person I've heard about that. What's going on with that?
I heard that he had a scheduling conflict to where he's doing a lot of these classes down at his home in Georgia, and they scheduled one that weekend without him knowing. So he's missing Memphis in May. Now, I don't know if that's true. Wow. That's what I heard. So, but I heard he was kind of upset that he's missing it. So I'm sure he is, man. You got to look how many times he's won Memphis in May, and he's been there as long as longer than I have cooking Memphis in May. So, well, I'm sure he doesn't miss it. But
if nothing else, we all know what a competitor Myron Mixon is, but Chris Lilly and Myron Mixon have won overall grand championships. They're tied at 5. So I have to imagine that both of them are bleeding through their very eyes to try and grab that 6, so they're not in that stalemate like they had been for the last number of years. So I'm shocked that a scheduling conflict might potentially be the issue here. But I guess that also speaks to the fact that Myron is not going to skirt responsibilities, or if people paid money to do a class, regardless of if it's on the highest and holiest competition day for a lot of the competition cooks, he's going to say, hey, you know, maybe we'll do it again next year. And I can't imagine he would want the team to win if he's not going to be there, though, right? I mean, that's got to be a real conflicted experience for him.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he probably wants a rib team to win if he's not going to be there, you know? He probably wants it out of the hog category.
Yeah,
but you got. I mean, we got the defending champs. They're going to be back. We got Melissa there. We got Boars Night Out. There's so many great teams that are cooking at Memphis in May that you got to beat. So it's going to be a challenge. It always is every year, but it's fun. You know, we just we like to go down there, have a good time, cook the best barbecue we can, and enjoy being back on the river. And hopefully, you know, we'll see how it works this year. Maybe it'll be back. Maybe it won't. We don't know yet.
Malcolm, how's the Smokehouse coming along?
Man, it's getting close, Greg. I've got it painted. I've got all the wood up on the inside. I want to say I'm probably 4 or 5 weeks out from being completely finished and being able to move my smokers in. So I'm excited about having a new place to film and to hang out and to get some smoke, get it smelling right in there.
Is that something that's going to really help video production for you? Are you going to be able to maintain a little bit more of a regular schedule, or get some things just you can do it when inspired versus having to contend with being outside and the weather?
I hope so. That's that was the big thing for us is having the kind of an indoor place to where my equipment could stay. I'm not always having to tear it down at my house. I've got a designated cooking area that's covered outside, out of the elements. It's going to be better for my smokers. The look will be better, of course, and I hope to be able to do longer in the year, because a lot of times when it's cold and stuff outside, the weather's nasty. It knocks me out of filming and it gets me behind. It's even happening in the spring. We had 2 weeks to where it rained pretty much every day, where I didn't get to film. So the past 2 weeks, I've been catching up. I've been doing like 10 videos a week, and that'll wear you down quick.
No doubt
just
about
trying
it.
to catch back up with content. So.
Well, you can find Malcom over at howtobbqright.com. You can also subscribe to him, obviously, over at the YouTube channel. Follow him on all the social media platforms at howtobbqright. Malcom, anything else that's going on or that you would like to talk about here before I let you go this evening?
Man, that's we're straight Memphis and May focused, so that's my big push right now. Just hope if everybody comes out, y'all stop by and see us. Greg, I got to get you down there one year, man. You got to come to Memphis, hang out with us.
Well, it's not. I can tell you, it's not going to be this year, but Memphis just isn't close for me. I feel like it would be closer for me to fly and come to your house than it would be for me to get down to Memphis for some reason. And I've heard that from a number of people. However, depending on how the rest of the year shakes out, I can see maybe an end of the year trip down, or maybe we can start putting some plans together for a 2024 Memphis and May run. Certainly would love to see how it all goes down. A bucket list item for me, for sure, as well as, finally getting out to the Royal and maybe the Jack, although I've heard some mixed feelings about how good the Jack really is versus just for the team that wins it. However, maybe that's something that I need to go down and experience and then give my own thoughts on that. But we'll see how it goes here. So, Malcom, appreciate the time. As always, good luck at Memphis in May. We'll wait for the recap in June, and we'll talk to you then.
The halfway mark, man. I can't believe it.
No doubt. We are ready. We are rocking, and we are rolling. It is Malcom Reed from How to BBQ Right, Killer Hogs, and 2 weeks away, if you can believe it, from Memphis in May. So we'll see how Malcom does here in the 2023 offering in Memphis. I did find it very, not shocking, but unique that team's going for whole hog this year. I do have a thought that because Brad and Tim were able to snatch it through whole hog, that might have given him a little extra inspiration, because Malcom is a great competition cook as well. So maybe that did give him a little inspiration as well as the team. Plus, Jay Craig has, I don't know if you are familiar with that cooker that Malcom was talking about that Jay Craig makes, but A, it's a beast, but B, it is very unique in the fact that it is a traditional offset cooker, and it's got this huge cooking chamber. You pull the hog out. There's like a lever that you can pull down, and then the whole cooking grate will do is that a 180? But wherever the head is, the head will go here instead of where it was, but it's just through a pivot. So Jay Craig, obviously an engineer extraordinaire, and then underneath you would open the doors, and as he talked about, you could go into the firebox of the offset portion of this pit, take out the coals, and then shovel some coals underneath. So very unique pit, one that I have never seen before, that is able to pivot that hog in a number of different ways, and we'll see if that is the next coolest cooker to win Memphis in May. Last year, everybody loved the 785-gallon drum that Tim Shear built there at Gateway Drum Smoker, and maybe Jay Craig's offset / direct cooker will be the next coolest cooker to win back to back. So we'll see how it goes. That's Malcom Reed from How to BBQ Right and the pitmaster over at Killer Hogs. HowToBBQRight.com is his website. And once again, you could subscribe to him over on YouTube, where 1.54, 1.6 million of you are already doing that. And we thank Malcom for joining us. Going a little long there, talking some extra Memphis in May competition talk. We're open next segment, so if you want to jump in on the show, even if you're not a Clubhouse person, I will be opening up the Clubhouse for you to jump in and give some reaction to if you care. If not, I have a bunch of stuff to cover and get going on. Before we do that, Primo Grills. What do we love about ceramic cookers? You tell me. I'm still listening. That's right. We love that they're fuel efficient. We love that you can go low and slow. We can also love that you can get rip-roaring hot, all in the same cooker. That's what's great about ceramic cookers. But what's missing in the everyday lineup of them? The real ability to do true two-zone cooking. Two-zone cooking is very important to both professional and backyard cooks. It's the best way to manage a fire and cook with confidence. However, getting a two-zone fire in a round ceramic cooker is not very realistic. Why? Because it's round. Enter Primo Grill and their game-changing oval design. The shape gives you the ability to execute a two-zone setup that you desire. It also gives you the other ceramic grill benefits as well. When you break it down, there's more than 60 different ways to configure the Primo cooker, so you're only limited by your culinary imagination. They also have all the accessories that you would ever want, to include the Primo Grill rotisserie, the Primo Grill pizza accessory, the half pan, the full pan, the rib rack, all of it. Remember at the HPBA Expo, the Primo Extra Large is out, 25% bigger than the XL. The XXL is 25% bigger. Only sold through dealers, so find one near you. PrimoGrill.com. That's PrimoGrill.com. Here's the bottom line. Best ceramics in the biz? Yes. Patented technology? Yes. True two-zone cooking capabilities and multiple sizes? Yes and yes. PrimoGrill.com. Find a dealer near you. Follow them on Facebook and the Instagrams. That's Primo Grill, and we are back with the ever-popular open segment. Stick around. We'll be right back.
You're listening to the Barbecue Central Show. Howard Stern, Jim Rome, Dan Patrick, and Greg Rempe. The Mountain Rushmore of talk show entertainment. Now, let's get back to the Barbecue Central Show.
And we thank Malcom Reed for joining us last segment. ToBBQRight.com is the website. This portion of the show being brought to you by Fireboard. Monitor up to 6 different temperatures simultaneously. Connect to Wi-Fi for cloud-based monitoring, or connect via the Bluetooth. If you have Alexa or the Google Assistant in your home, you're in luck because Fireboard is fully integrated with both. Find out more by visiting fireboard.com or call 816-945-2232. Ted Conrad and the gang out there at Fireboard. And don't forget the Fireboard Spark, which I didn't have for a long time after it came out, and then I got one down at the HPBA Expo, and I have to tell you, I love it. It's a highly accurate instant read meat thermometer, which they talk about. However, if you're only cooking one thing that you want to take internal temperature of, it's a one-channel Fireboard, and it's not wireless in the fact that you have the wired probe that fits into it, but you can just stick that unit down wherever you want. If you have some type of a metal surface, obviously it's magnetic, so it will stick right there, and you have no worries about it falling off or going anywhere. It is highly convenient, and it just stays right there on my stainless steel hood where I evacuate all the smoke and stuff when I'm cooking. So it's been great. If you're on the fence about the Spark, get off the fence. Believe me, you're going to love it. And again, it's a really accurate and quality instant read meat thermometer, which is what it was to begin with. And then it's also a one-channel Fireboard as well. But you do have to have a temperature probe in order for that portion of it to work. Now we are in the open segment. So if you would like to jump in on the open segment, you're going to have to go to Clubhouse. I have double-checked to make sure that the sound is working prior to the show going on. What does that mean? That means it's not going to work.
Andrew, you are
Not going to have sound. That's right. However, if you want to give it a whirl, just go over to the clubhouse. I'm sure you find me some way. I don't have any idea how to do that anymore. And we can bring you up and you can talk about any live fire topic that you would like. Or you can give your own personal thoughts on the YouTube poll question of the week. Battery-powered cookers will be the next big thing in live fire. 81% of you are saying no.
Get that big stuff out of here.
All right. 19% of you are saying yes, by the way. And to me, it's encompassing all of it. It is both the travel, portable type cookers, and it is the full size. In fact, I'm much more excited to see what a full-size battery-powered grill might look like. As I told Wes right before, I'm not necessarily concerned, given the age of my children and who's around my house, having an extension cord, which I'm pretty good at hiding, depending on where the outlets are in my house and where I have the grills positioned at that point. I'm pretty good at hiding any tripping hazards as it relates to the extension cord running to a pellet cooker or a cooker that would need power. That being said, battery power might not be too bad. And again, as Derek had mentioned last week, the main power draw is that startup in pellet cookers, and then once it's up and running and it's just the fan and then turning the auger, it drops way down. So we'll see how it turns out. But 81% of you are disinterested, saying that it is not going to be the next big thing in live fire. Have a few instant messages here to get to. Oh, wait. View all. Oh, I didn't queue them up, right? Yeah. All right. T-Jax. I think that's Tyler, right? Tyler, were you in at the beginning when I was lambasting you about saying how LeBron James is a crybaby? We can't have that. Smoking Joe's Pit BBQ. I just received my Chud box, and the first thing I want to cook is a whole hog. I need Malcolm to come over and help me. Bad news, Joe.
Get that big stuff out of here.
That thing is not going to accommodate a whole hog. Maybe a suckling pig. But according to Meathead, suckling pigs have a different flavor than whole hog. I challenge you, Joe, by next week. Are you on next week for our quarterly update? Maybe 2 weeks' time. You do a suckling pig on the Chud box and then report back to Bradley and myself separately, and then we'll all convene on the show and talk about it. Also, Guy the Cooking Sam is writing in and saying, Greg, is your furnace down? No. However,
Get that big stuff out of here.
in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame city of Cleveland, as you can see by the garb, it's freaking cold. I was in Houston Sunday, Monday, and obviously yesterday, all days achieving 80-plus degrees. I left Houston at 85 degrees. I returned to Cleveland at 38 degrees.
Get that big stuff out of here.
That's not fun. I mean, regardless of how unaesthetically pleasing Houston is, especially as you get out of the city, it is warmer, and I will probably take warmer over aesthetically pleasing. Now, you might be saying to yourself, is Cleveland aesthetically pleasing? Well, when you're comparing the two, getting out of the greater metropolitan areas, yes, Cleveland is, I might say, more beautiful than Houston is. By far, actually, I might say. Rolling hills, lush greens, seasons, leaves, much more beautiful. Email coming in from Taylor in Texas. Speak of the devil. Greg, is it just me, or did Doug from Texas sound better last week than he normally does? Love the embedded correspondence segment and the show. Podcast listener only. Regards, Taylor. Taylor, you are 100% correct. Doug did sound better than normal. Now, we have to put that into perspective because Doug typically sounds good. I've never been inside Doug's house. He has upgraded microphones a few different times. I use the term upgraded loosely because a lot of times people consider amount of money spent on upgrade. But in the world of USB mics, the one that I recommend continually is the Samson Q, the numeral 2, and the letter U. Samson Q2U. It is on sweetwater.com every day of the week with a stand and a windscreen and I think a shock mount. All of that for $69, which is sizably less expensive than the Shure MV7, which comes in at like $225. And audibly, I think you would be hard-pressed to find a sound difference between the two. Some might say that the Samson actually sounds more robust, has a fuller sound. I believe that to be the case, which is why I'm happy to recommend the Samson Q2U to anybody that asks me what kind of a USB mic I should have. So Doug has run the gamut of USB mics, has settled on the Samson, and sounds good. But getting back to the point I was trying to make, I've never been in his house, but I would imagine the room that Doug usually is found in has not a lot of stuff hanging on the walls that are curtains or towels or things like this thing over here that's a moving blanket. That thing right there is a moving blanket. I have one over here that you can't see. All things to suck up wall slap, as we call it, to make it sound like I'm just in a nice, tight room, more professional sounding. Doug is not in a treated room. I don't require him to be in a treated room. I also think the room that he's in usually has a very high ceiling. So as he talks, his voice waves just kind of smack around and you have a little room. No matter how close you get, the closer you get to the microphone, the smaller or the closer the room sounds. But in some instances, you just can't get away from it. Same thing with Jess Pryles. Jess has very untreated walls, and I'm sure that ceiling that she's usually in her office is very high. So no matter how close you get to the microphone, there's going to be a little wall slap. But last week, Doug sounded a little tighter, probably because the room was different. Now, he was on location for an E3 Meet charity foundation thing or doing catering for E3 Meet, something of a fundraising aspect, being a good human being as Doug is. But yes, Taylor, I agree. Doug sounded better than he normally does. And we say it with the caveat of Doug sounds fine normally. He just happened to sound better, and it was probably because of the room. And, might I add, probably a better internet connection because of where he usually is, in the sticks, where the raccoons are messing with his internet connection. Programming note. If you didn't know this, by the way, Barbecue Hall of Fame season is upon us. That's right. What does that mean? That means that this coming Monday, May 8th, May 8th, we will reveal in a
We'll do it
live show at 3 p.m. Eastern on Monday.
We'll do it live.
It will be a live show. Myself, show regular Robert Moss, and Elizabeth from the American Royal. We will all do it live.
We'll do it live.
On Monday, May 8th, this coming at 3 p.m. Eastern. Well, we will announce exclusively the 10 finalists for the Barbecue Hall of Fame 2023. Where 3, but maybe 4 of whom will be making up the class of 2023. And then 2 weeks and 2 days after that, which makes it Wednesday, May 24th, we will also house and announce the exclusive names. That didn't sound right. We will also announce and have an exclusive show announcing who the new living members of the Barbecue Hall of Fame will be. We will also, at that time, announce the legacy inductees. And we will also learn if there will be an Impact recipient award winner as well. As Robert Moss and a number of the other folks on the Names Committee have mentioned over the last year since it was originally introduced, 2022 was the first year of the opportunity to have an impact award given out that calendar year. It's not something that can happen or is required to happen every year. It's just something if there is a need for it. That sounds bad, but not every year should require an impact award. But on the years that do, it avails itself, and there will be an impact recipient or an impact award recipient as well, on top of the 3, maybe 4 living members that are put in, and then the legacy members as well. So, just to recap, this coming Monday, there will be a live show at 3 p.m. Eastern.
We'll do it live.
At 3 p.m., Bill, that's right, on May 8th. And then on May 24th, we will also do it again.
We'll do it live.
Yes, live. To announce who the actual inductees for the Barbecue Hall of Fame will be, who the legacy inductees are, and we will also learn if there will be an impact recipient as well. Shane in California is writing in. Greg, loved the show, and I really like Brad Robinson. I thought he was a great interview last week, and I really enjoyed his thoughts on where the business aspect of the industry is right now. I wish more companies adopted Chud's mindset. Count me in on someone who is a future buyer of a Chud box. Regards, Shane. Shane, thank you for writing it. Certainly appreciate that. And also, if you weren't familiar, let me pull up the webpage here to make sure that I'm giving it its right name. World Food Championships partnering with Famous Dave's for All-Star Barbecue Series. Now, what does that mean? It means that it's going to be a series of successive dates that will begin in Las Vegas. They'll feature celebrity and local pitmasters during a consumer-facing multi-category barbecue challenge at select Famous Dave restaurants throughout the country. There's going to be over $500,000 that will be awarded during the year's tournament of food champs that will encompass 12 categories of food and cocktails. 15 events nationwide, starting in May and ending in late August. If you are somebody that is interested in cooking in one of these, you have to get registered ASAFP. And I think they only take 6 teams, not 16, like one more than 5. So May 13th in Las Vegas, June 3rd in El Paso, June 10th, Hermitage, Tennessee, June 17th, Long Beach, June 24th, potentially in Tuxtweila, Washington. Then you have July 1st in Sioux City, July 8th, Addison, Illinois, July 23rd, Westland, Michigan, July 22nd, the Waldorf, Maryland, and July 29th in Billings, Montana. The Addison, Illinois, and Tuxtweila, Washington are tentative at this point. So if you're looking to get into that, yeah, you might want to check that out. Hey, let's wrap it up in the first hour. Stick around. Be right back.
Continuing to produce incredibly mediocre content in an exceptionally professional way. You're listening and watching the Barbecue Central Show. Once again, here's your host, Greg Rempe.
So I have more thoughts on the Famous Dave All-Star Barbecue Series, but in order to maintain the integrity of the clock here this evening, I'll go ahead and wait it out, and then we'll start here in the top of the second hour, where I'll give you a little bit more information. We'll rehash those dates, and I'll go over a little bit more detail in there. By the way, while we don't have signed contracts yet, Famous Dave's World Food Championships and the All-Star Barbecue Series will be partnering with the show here to promote some of those events, so looking forward to that. And we'll talk a little bit more about that here in just a second. So why don't you do this? We're going to close it out here in the first hour. You refresh libations, and we'll see you back here to start the second hour. You're listening and watching the Barbecue Central Show, right here on the Barbecue Central Network. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Hi, this is Sylvie Curry from Ramona, California, and I'm listening to the Barbecue Central Show.
Happy to have you aboard here for the Really Big Barbecue Show.
Boing. We cook because we have to, and we grill because we want to.
Hit me!
Fine, how's it going?
You have a great show. I'm a big fan.
Boing.
So what seems to be the problem here? This man looks like he's dead, and he's in the crackle.
Charbono! It's all about the charbono, dude!
Succulent fish. What?
He ate 54 wieners.
Oh, listen, Liberty, shut your face.
I'm shaking like a dog shit peach seeds.
We have top men working on it right now. Top men.
We welcome you into the second hour. It's the Barbecue Central Show, where we talk about all things that are important to the world of barbecue and grilling. We do it live here every Tuesday from 9 to 11 p.m. Eastern. We are also recording. So if you're missing the first hour, you can get that in audio podcast tomorrow morning. I'll release it at 11:55 here tonight, but it's typically early in the morning before the feed actually updates. And the second hour of the show will be found on Thursdays, and the best of will be on Friday. Now, we will follow the same release schedule. If I can live in contradiction, which is where I love to live, allow me to do that. So, it is Wednesday tonight. I get lost in the Tuesday thing because I've only been doing Tuesday nights for the last 17 years. So please, forgive me. It's Wednesday tonight, so at 11:55, I will release hour number one into the feed. That will hit on Thursday, tomorrow, early in the morning. Friday, we will stay with the traditional best moments of the Barbecue Central Show in 10 minutes or less release, which I'll tell you about here in a second. And then Saturday, you will find the release of the second hour of the Barbecue Central Show. It's what we did last week. It's what we're doing this week. And then next week, on the 9th, we will go back to a live Tuesday show.
We'll do it live.
And then it will be first hour on Wednesday, second hour on Thursday, best of on Friday. But these last 2 weeks have been a little involved because I have been coming back from Texas on two separate trips, two separate reasons. But oddly enough, from Texas both times, and Tuesday on the return, and it wasn't going to work to get the show in on Tuesdays either time, which is why we're doing them live on Wednesdays here this evening. So once again, Thursday, hour number one, then the best moments of the Barbecue Central Show in 10 minutes or less on Friday, and then hour number two of the Barbecue Central Show on Saturday again this week, and then we'll be back to the normal live Tuesday show next week on the 9th with podcast releases Wednesday, Thursday, and best moments on Friday. Is that confusing enough for everybody? Yes, of course it is. That's why we're doing it live all the time.
We'll do it live.
It's better to do it live, Bill. Still to come on the show this evening, Sam the Cooking Guy will join me. And we say good evening to those of you watching tonight through one of our video streaming platforms. You can watch us over on Facebook and Twitch/BBQ Central Show. You can also watch us on YouTube/RD Rempe and listen audibly through Clubhouse if you would like, where we have a massive contingent listening in here this evening. We also have a new YouTube poll question of the week, and it's climbing back, believe it or not. And I find it hard to believe, but I asked the listening public and the live audience, by the way, if you would like to react to me through email later in the week, use the ever-popular and easy-to-remember email address until further notice, GregRempe1974, and send no nudes. Don't do that. The YouTube poll question of the week is, battery-powered cookers will be the next big thing in live fire, yes or no? Now, 79% of you are saying no.
Get that big stuff out of here.
21% of you are saying yes. I'm shocked. Wait, we have an update.
The Barbecue Central Show exclusive news update.
Greg Rempe reporting for the Breaking News Desk here in Cleveland, Ohio, Bomb City, USA, the city that breaks the most live-fire breaking news across the nation, the globe. Now, 80% are saying no. 20% are saying yes. So it was 21% just a second ago, but somebody came into the poll, voted, and now we're back to an 80-20 split where the majority is saying no. However, down from 90% as we started the show here. So over the course of the show, popularity of saying no has dwindled, but not enough to catch up. Hey, look who's made it in. It's Facebook star and Chat GPT expert extraordinaire Ron Happ. Probably coming in for the Sam the Cooking Guy segment, pulling up a seat and making sure that he's ready for that. So glad you could be part of the show here tonight, Ron. And we welcome everybody else that's joining us through Facebook or YouTube or Clubhouse or wherever the hell you're getting this show. We certainly appreciate you tuning in live, as always. As we were coming out of the first hour, I had mentioned that there is a new barbecue series. This was announced April 6th, so just under a month ago. World Food Championships partners with Famous Dave's for the All-Star Barbecue Series. The World Food Championships announced that it's partnering with Famous Dave's of America, FDA, to find and reward the best competition barbecue teams in America through a nationwide barbecue battle. The Famous Dave's All-Star Barbecue Series, which will begin in Las Vegas like in a week and a half, will feature celebrity and local pitmasters during a consumer-facing multi-category barbecue challenge at select Famous Dave restaurants throughout the country. The winning teams will then qualify into the Famous Dave's All-Star Barbecue Championship to be hosted by the World Food Championships during its 11th annual tournament in Dallas, Texas this fall. This marks the first strategic gateway program for the World Food Championships barbecue category, which features up to 50 of the best barbecue teams annually in the richest event of food sport history. Over $500,000 will be awarded during this year's Tournament of Food Champs, which encompasses 12 categories of food and cocktails. This All-Star Series will be a very exciting program for the world of food sports, said my pal Mike McLeod, president of World Food Championships. Not only will it feature both celebrity and emerging pitmasters throughout the country, but it will be focused on educating and entertaining barbecue fans in a way that is unique and groundbreaking from a number of perspectives. From free food samples to pitmaster tips and techniques, barbecue fans will have the chance to improve their smoking skills by visiting one of these contests. The All-Star Barbecue Series will include 15 events across the nation starting in May and ending in late August. Each contest will feature 6 barbecue teams and a $5,000 prize purse and 2 golden tickets for the grand champion and the reserve grand champion to move on to the World Food Championships super event in November. Each contest will have to create at least 3 entries at each contest, including chicken, pork ribs, and a special wild card menu dish. Each division will have a winner, while overall points from all categories will determine the grand prize winners of the golden ticket. There will be no entry fees for the teams, which will have to register at worldfoodchampionships.com/all-star. Once again, if you're taking notes, World Food Championships, plural, with an S at the end, worldfoodchampionships.com/all-star, and you will do that in your respective region. Once again, these are the areas that will be hosting the events: Las Vegas, El Paso, Texas, Nashville, Tennessee, Long Beach, California, Sioux City, Iowa, Addison, Illinois, Westland, Michigan, Waldorf, Maryland, Billings, Montana, Colorado, a place to be announced on August 5th, San Jose, California, August 12th, Rancho Cucamonga, August 19th, Minnetonka, Minnesota, August 19th, and Taylor, Michigan. By the way, those first handful of dates were Vegas, May 13th, which is coming up here next week. June 3rd, El Paso, Texas. June 10th in Nashville. June 17th, Long Beach. A Pacific Northwest, June 24th to be determined, but might not actually happen. Sioux City, Iowa, July 1st, and Addison, Illinois, July 11th, and Westland, Michigan, July 15th. Those are the ones that I neglected to mention there at the top. So, why am I excited about this? Well, because we all know The name of the person that I just said put this together is the architect of the semi-famous Dave's All-Star Barbecue Series, Mike McLeod. What did Mike McLeod put together back in his tenure as the marketing arm for KCBS? He put together the Sam Series. Do you smell it? I'm no soothsayer. However, Mike McLeod is a food sport architect. He is now in his 11th season of the World Food Championships, and he is now building back up what has the potential, the legs of becoming whatever the next Sam's Club, whatever the next Sam's Club series might look like. And it might look like it has something to do with Dave Anderson and an all-star barbecue series and touring across the country at various famous Daves. Now, 6 teams, that doesn't seem like a lot. So if you're interested in doing this, make sure that you get registered ASAFP because it starts next week. But if you're looking to get a golden ticket down to the World Food Championship Supers in November, that's a way to do it. So once again, worldfoodchampionships.com/all-star to sign up. And there's no entry fee. You just have to sign up, and they'll call you, let you know if you got in. Then you have to make your way out there, of course. But you can win some money, chicken and ribs, a wild card event. You could be competing against a celebrity chef, and you could be competing right next to a bona fide competition barbecue cook. We'll see what happens. I believe it's being judged through the EAT methodology, the EAT. So very excited about that. Happy that they're also partnering with the show to do a little promotion there. Mike McLeod, genius, food sport genius. I'm sure we'll have him on here shortly as well to talk about how this whole thing came together and where the outlook is for it going forward. Sam, the cooking guy, is ready to go. Before we get to him, I'll talk to you about Big Papa Smokers, the one-stop online shop for all things barbecue. A curated selection of only the best outdoor cooking and grilling supplies, getting you on the path to better barbecue results in no time. Everything at Big Papa Smokers has been pitmaster approved by Sterling Big Papa Ball himself, from the award-winning rubs and sauces to the American-made grills and smokers. They have something for every type of outdoor cook. They have 13 perfectly balanced flavors of rubs and seasonings. Popular flavors like Sweet Money, Cattle Prod, Cash Cow, all proven winners on the competition circuit and in the backyard, just like mine. They also own Granny's Barbecue Sauce. If you're looking for a new go-to sauce that's looking to please everybody, this is the one you want to try. They're also selling cookers. If you're looking for a versatile smoker that's easy to use, check out that Mac 2-star General Pellet Cooker. Big Papa Smokers, the exclusive Mac dealer, even offering special packages. If you're not sure of what cooker you want, if you have all these other questions, call them and ask. 877-828-0727. That's 877-828-0727. Or shop their website at bigpapasmokers.com, spelled BIGPOPPA smokers.com. We are back with Sam the Cooking Guy right after this. Stick around, we'll be right back.
You're listening to the Barbecue Central Show. Howard Stern, Jim Rome, Dan Patrick, and Greg Rempe. The Mountain Rushmore of talk show entertainment. Now, let's get back to the Barbecue Central Show.
This portion of the show being brought to you by Pit Barrel Cooker, the most unbelievable outdoor cooking device on the planet. Currently available in 3 sizes with a host of accessories to complete that pit barrel cooking experience. Whether you're a beginner or professional, it doesn't matter. It's a cooker you want to add to the arsenal. Regardless, visit pitbarrelcooker.com and tell them Barbecue Central Show sent you. My guest in the second hour is a man who needs no introduction, other than he's got a lot of Emmys and you don't. Sam the Cooking Guy. Sam, it's YouTube poll question of the week time, if you can believe it. Here we go.
Love it. Go ahead, buddy.
I'm asking everybody this evening, including you, Battery-powered cookers will be the next big thing in live fire. Yes or no?
No, they will not.
Wow. Didn't even hesitate. As you join 80% of the voting public.
How
saying
can
no.
they be? I say this. I say this. Even having seen a thing come across Instagram the other day. I don't have one here. A charger for your iPhone that is so powerful it can start your car.
Really?
Yeah. I guess I believe it to be true. I mean, they were selling it, or they were. I don't know.
Well, my wife
if they
is
can
a
do that,
fan
they
of
could probably
QVC.
part a thing. But say what?
My wife's a fan of QVC, and one time they were selling something that looked interesting. I mean, they make anything look interesting, right? That's why they're very successful. And one of these things, it's a charger for your phone, but then it's got car battery clips. You put them on, right? And you plug it into the charger. It looks like a big brick. Not a big brick, but a smallish brick finish. I'm telling you what, it works. It works. I took it.
It works.
Marley's friend called. We're in the school parking lot. Can't get the car started. Did you try this, and this? Yeah. Don't move. I'll be right over. And I hopped in the car with the brick, hooked it up to the battery, hit the button. The light turned green, started the car. The thing started right up, 100%.
So
meanwhile, it'll charge your phone for the next 748 years.
God, I haven't been listening tonight so far. I apologize. What's the consensus for battery-powered grills and stuff?
80% of the people are saying no.
Yeah, I thought so. Yeah.
But we'll see. There are some full-sized ones like in planning/production, but not out. And there are some portable ones. But as Derek Rich has said, he doesn't want to be tethered. You know, it's either all battery or nothing. He doesn't want to have to run a cord to an outlet in the car or take a car battery somewhere. He just wants it to be, if it's portable, like your charcoal portable grill is, you just pick it up and go, and then you pour charcoal in it and whatever. He wants the same type of convenience with battery-powered, or he's not going to feature it.
Well, but you're tethered, but you're closely tethered. I mean, if it worked, I mean, maybe I'd be okay. I mean, I don't know. I just can't see it being the next big thing. The next big thing, which was the question.
That's right, and 80% are saying
work. And if you said, "Do you think it can work?" I mean, I'd be like, "Yeah, probably." They can make anything work. Sure, yeah, it'll work. But how long will it work for? How big will the battery be? I mean, are you going to have like a little 20-pound portable grill and a 25-pound battery? That would be fucking stupid, no?
I would love to see it. I would love to see how somebody spins that into marketing.
Of course. All that shit's fun to look at and play with, but in practicality, I mean, where are we with this stuff, you know?
Sam, can I ask you a question?
I'm ready.
You're ready?
I'm ready. I'm ready.
Sam, have you ever tried potted meat?
Yeah, I have. I mean, it's not something I eat all the time, but it can be a handy ingredient to have in the pantry.
Yeah, I agree. I think potted meat is one of those things that people either love or hate. Some people can't stand the thought of it, while others seem to really enjoy it.
I think it comes down to a personal preference. For me, potted meat, I mean, it's not something I crave, but I can appreciate its versatility as an ingredient.
That's a good point. It can be used in a variety of recipes like dips, spreads, and sandwiches. I've even seen some people use it in casseroles and other dishes.
Yeah, I mean, I've used it in some recipes before, like a potted meat and cheese dip. That's pretty tasty, but you have to be careful with the salt content, since potted meat can be pretty high in sodium.
Oh, that's true. You know, it's definitely not a health food, but I think it's fine in moderation. And it can be a convenient snack or meal when you're on the go.
Absolutely. I think it's important to have a balanced diet. Yes, but there's nothing wrong with indulging in a little potted meat every now and then.
Agreed. So what's your favorite way to enjoy potted meat, Sam?
I'm a simple guy, Greg. I like it on a cracker with I like it on a cracker with some hot sauce.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with that. Sometimes the simple things are the best. You blew it right at the end.
I cannot keep up this ruse any longer.
I thought you were going to lose it at tasty.
Look, I never say tasty, but I agreed to read it as is.
We almost secretly planned it last night. We were going back and forth. Should we ad lib? Should we just do it? So obviously nobody knows what we're talking about here. However,
no, and people have probably turned off now. The one person in Clubhouse is fucking gone.
Actually, at last check, there were 3 people. There are 3 people in Clubhouse right now. Believe it or not. Yeah, take my word for it. Don't go look.
Now I can get this off my screen.
Yes.
I've got my Word doc up in full screen. So now I can come back and see you.
So what you need to know, and I'm talking to the audience, is there is a Chat GPT. Oh, I'm going to use the word expert, but that might be stretching it a little bit, named Ron Happ. You find him over at the Barbecue Central Show's group page, which is different from the Barbecue Central Show fan page because Facebook is really weird. And he has been on a tear recently of making posts that have obviously been run through ChatGPT. And this one made it up last week after he heard me talk about my incident with... Did you have that hanging up?
No, I printed it first, and then I realized my eyes would be probably looking down or sideways. So I had it on my screen, but now people can see this nonsense.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. I mean, so it was, so Ron went in after listening to the fact that I was trapped next to a guy on the airplane coming back home last week from Dallas. And 2 hours into a 2.5-hour flight, this guy that was coming from New Mexico up to Thistledown Thoroughbred Racetrack, which, by the way, it's like the worst thoroughbred racing track here in Cleveland, said with peace and love, but it's the worst. And he just cracks open this thing, and I'm like, in 2 seconds, it was infecting my nose, my eyes were watering.
On the effing plane?
Yes, and I was like, what the hell? And I said, what is that? And he said, oh man, it's potted meat. And I said, potted meat? And he said, yeah. And he's like, do you want some? And he showed me this can, and I was like, that looks like cat food, dude. I know what I feed my cats every morning, and that has the same shape, and maybe the cat food smells a little bit better. But, 6 rows ahead of us, you had this going on. You didn't even have to, nobody had to say anything. They just did the nose up with the turn, and then 2 rows behind me, people are standing up what the hell just happened?
And you're sitting beside him. This is the same guy that microwaves day-old salmon or cod fillets in the microwave at the office.
Yes, that's him. Shit. He was unabashed. We were almost done with the flight, and then he ruined it. 30 minutes left, and he just cracked open this can. He had saltine crackers, and he was just cramming them in like a steam shovel right into his mouth. I mean,
did you tell him that's rude?
This is a guy who's going to Thistledown Racetrack, so the standards aren't very high anyway, but potted meat brings it to a whole new level. People in Warrensville Heights, Ohio would laugh at this guy where he was going.
We were flying back from Seoul. No, we weren't. We were coming back from Mexico.
Yeah.
We were coming back from Zihuatanejo, Mexico. And a really simple menu, Volaris Airlines. It was great. It's fine. And, a simple little onboard menu, you can buy stuff. I had a quick look at it. It was like a 3-hour flight. I wasn't feel like eating anything. Somebody about the 2-hour mark in ordered a cup noodles, basic everyday cup noodles.
Like ramen?
Literally the cup noodles brand, yeah. And it went down the aisle past me. They put the boiling water in it up in the flight attendant station. They walked down the aisle past me with it. And I was like, oh, fuck, that smells pretty good. I'm telling you, that one cup noodle, 2 hours into a 3-hour flight, became 18. Really? I counted 18. And it was the smell of the cup noodles that got people. Unlike the smell of the potted, disgusting, gross meat in the little can.
Have you ever heard of that term?
A smell can be a good thing or a horrible fucking
of course.
thing.
You ever heard of the term potted meat?
Yes, the Brits do it.
Oh,
it's a thing, but they do it there, and it's not disgusting. There's a restaurant in London that I like to go to. It's called Hawksmoor. It's a British steakhouse. There's 5 or 6 of them there. In fact, there's one in New York, and they have a little thing of potted meat, and it's effing delicious. But it's more like a pate-ish kind of thing. You take and you spread on a delicious crispy bread that they've, sliced baguettes and done in the brick oven or something like that. There's a good version of that stuff that you would eat and you'd be like, damn, this is something good. But what the cat shit that bro brought out of the can and had the balls to rip open beside you. Holy shit.
Yeah. He didn't like it. He didn't put it on a cracker with hot sauce.
No, that guy should be banned like people that slug flight attendants.
Yeah. I mean, what's the difference in my opinion? I mean, he slugged 30 people with a nose shot.
Yeah, that's not cool.
Yeah.
Okay, but we read that, so you didn't really finish. Your guy wrote had the Chat GPT thing create that script.
Yeah, so I thought it would be funny if I just ripped it word for word off of the group page and that we read through it, see if anybody was going to be buying it. So Sean Reed said potted meat was Sam's favorite eggs. Next video idea.
You could do a 10 listener poll and see how many people believed that combo was real.
All right. Anybody listening on Facebook and YouTube, if you thought that conversation was real as it was happening, don't lie because now you know the truth. Be honest. If we are nothing but courageous and honest on the show, of course. Tell us as we're talking here if you thought it was a real conversation or a fake conversation. Yep. And I'll poll it as we're talking here. So when we were talking last month, Sam, you were doing the show Tuesday, but then literally the next day you were catching a bird to Seoul, South Korea. Now you're back.
Seoul, South Korea.
What was Seoul, South Korea like?
Well, my second time, actually my third time, and it's fascinating. It's delicious. It's an amazing country, and the people are great. We just had a tremendous time. We've only aired one small part of it so far.
Yeah.
We continued all last month in April. Every episode, every video on YouTube was a smash burger-esque of some type. So we shot one in Seoul in this area called the Myeongdong, which is known for street food. Most nights, there's maybe 75 or 100 carts selling every manner of everything that you can think of. Deeply Koreanized food to coconut shrimp to baked sweet potatoes. I mean, anything you can think of, they've got. A boneless chicken feet we had one night.
How do you get boneless chicken feet? There's bones in the feet.
Dude, I go to dim sum.
Do you eat that?
And I'll have chicken feet. I mean, I don't do it if the whole family's there. It's fine. It's actually very good. But the problem is, just look at your hand. Think of how many little bones are in your fingers, right?
I know how many bones are in the finger.
A chicken foot, how many?
There's 4.
Imagine a chicken foot. It's so much small. There's not 4. There's so much. It's so much smaller. And the bones are tiny. How they debone it, I really don't know. So I asked the guy, and he's stir frying it, whatever, putting in sauce. And I say to the guy, how do you debone a chicken foot? He goes, I don't know. I just buy it like this. So It turns out there was actually some bone still in, and maybe it was cartilage. But the point is, one night in the Myeongdong district, we were eating at a woman's cart that had tteokbokki, those like sort of rice roll things in a deep gochujang kind of sauce. She had great stuff. And we strike up a conversation and we say, what do
Can
you
I
think
interrupt just for a second? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You say we struck up a conversation because you have somebody that speaks Korean with you?
Turns out Mrs. Ann had pretty good English.
What does pretty good English in the Dongdong district sound like?
Myeongdong, it means that you could have a conversation with her with your Cleveland English.
Wow.
She was great. Lovely. We did have two Korean chaperones with us. Yeah, they were great.
And they tell you like all the
they,
rules. Don't do this. Don't do that. They'll cane you for this. They'll kill you for that.
A little
spitting.
bit, a tiny bit. Yeah. Well,
Like, what's the biggest rule they tell you not to do that Americans would normally do? Be entitled?
I don't. You know what? I don't know that we really got too many rules.
Yeah. Do you tower over everybody there?
No. The Koreans are pretty tall.
Yeah, not like
they're
Japanese.
taller than the Japanese. Yeah. Absolutely. In fact, my initial contact into the this whole Korean thing is a guy who's like 6'4".
Oh wow!
And they're much taller than the Japanese. But so the point is, we strike up a conversation. We're eating her food, and she recognizes that we're not Korean, and she speaks to us in English, and this starts a conversation. And then we say, well, so what do you think if one night we could rent your cart from you and use it for shooting an episode? We have a YouTube channel and blah, blah, blah. And it became a yes. But she said, look, so, I mean, this is her livelihood. And she said, after we close.
Yeah.
And she shut down around 11:30 at night when the traffic starts to dissipate, the foot traffic.
And that's probably better for you, right? You don't want a bunch of nonsense and tomfoolery going around while you're shooting.
No, lots of people is more fun for us.
Oh, all right. You
it's
like
a little more manic
the car wreck potential?
Exactly, 100%.
Yeah.
But so we went that night about 11:30. We bought all our groceries at the store, to the most manic grocery store that will come out in a video.
Crazy.
I mean, I've never seen anything like this in my life. I mean, I took my phone and I just did this for a second all around. It was like 10 minutes before all the stores were closing for Christmas Eve, and they weren't going to be open for another week. And you had to buy everything that you wanted for your holiday festivities. I was just fucking people everywhere. And a language that I couldn't understand, and lots of noise and pushing and shoving because there were so many people. And anyway, so we buy our groceries and we go there about 11:30. Mrs. Ann and Mr. Parker, husband, are cleaning, really nice. And we probably didn't start shooting until about 12:15. So there was hardly anybody around, a few people walking by. But we made smash burgers there, and a couple of Americans that were fans came by, and they stopped, and we made them burgers. It was fun. So that's the first thing that we've aired from there. We've got something that we shot in a hangar at Korean Air, in front of a Boeing 737 plane is the backdrop.
Wow.
Is about 30 feet behind me, and I'm at a table in front of it. And then another episode will be us trying all this variety of food in this Myeongdong district. That was fabulous.
Do you go for like a fear factor type of thing where you're eating balut eggs and whale testicles and things like this?
No.
That's fun. Why not do one of those things?
Because I don't really.
Yes, but it's about the views.
My first time in Tokyo, we were taken out for dinner by some people that live there. And the super polite. Oh yeah.
Sorry. Go ahead.
Yep. Super polite, and they take you out, and you are their guests, and they want you to try things first. And this beautiful it's a yakitori restaurant, mostly stuff on little skewers, but there's a couple sashimi like things in the beginning, and this dish comes out, and it looks like somebody has crafted salmon sashimi, raw salmon, into like a rose petal. It's fucking gorgeous. And they put it on the table, and I said, you should go ahead. And they go, no, please, you're our guest. And so I pick up a piece with my chopsticks, and I dip it in whatever the sauce was, and I take a bite. And I'm eating it. It's delicious, but it doesn't have a whole lot of taste. And I go, what is this? And there's a little back and forth conversation, blah, 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 blah. And the guy looks at me and he goes, chicken. And I go, but it doesn't look like it's cooked. He goes, more conversation. Blah, blah. No, raw chicken.
Oh.
I'm like, oh no. But you see, here's the thing. when the food is at a particular level, you're okay with it. I was okay with it.
You're okay with
If I
throwing
went back
safety to the window?
I'm not eating raw chicken. I'm not eating raw chicken here. But
there has to be better. There has to be
be
better food standards in America than anywhere else.
I'm not 100%.
Why do you hate
And
America?
it's not. Wait, it's not. I don't hate it. But the point is not so much about food standards, but about freshness and where it comes from. And that chicken was probably clucking around the day before.
Yeah, but that doesn't make it any less E. coli ridden.
It's not been processed in a giant plant and then transported 800 miles and frozen and defrosted and frozen. And I'm telling you, it was fucking delicious. I
I'm
mean,
sure.
once the sauce was on, it was pretty bland. And
Yeah. Yikes. Yeah, I would never do that. I would want to know raw chicken in advance.
But balut. And for those that are listening, watching that don't know, it's an embryonic chicken in an egg.
Soft beak.
Yeah, there's a beak in there and feathers and stuff and liquid.
People love that.
Filipinos, not all Filipinos do it. I know plenty of Filipinos that I go, do you eat balut? They go, no, I do not.
That's a
My
trick.
grandmother does, but it's not a trick. It's disgusting.
Yeah, no kidding.
But this raw chicken that day in Tokyo, in the Ginza, it was okay.
So were you in Korea to do more show stuff, or was it more tourist and take in the country?
No, it was fully shooting. It was
Fully
fully shooting.
Oh. How long were you there?
Yeah. We left Wednesday night, the 5th, and we landed the morning of the 7th, 5 a.m. in Seoul. You lose a day. It was like a 12, 13-hour flight, something like that.
Direct?
So we shot Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and came home Tuesday. Yeah.
It's almost a week.
Yep.
How much
Fantastic.
content do you come out with?
So we had that one smash burger thing that went into the month. We've got the thing that I made in front of the 737 in the hangar, and then the video that will showcase all that different food, the food we tasted in the Myeongdong that night. We're over day and a half or something. So three episodes. You can't come back from a trip like that and post 14 videos because if people don't want it, if people don't give a shit about Seoul, they'll excuse you for 1 or 2 or 3, and the smash burger made it into one. So it's really like one Seoul centric one, and then the thing in front of the plane you could make, and it was honestly one of the best things we made in a long time. But not everybody cares about that stuff. So
that gets released this month.
Yeah, but who knows? Our episode on Monday was something called an Irish spice bag.
Yes, I saw it.
You ever heard of it?
No, it was the first time I learned about it this morning when I watched the video.
Yeah, I've only learned about it recently and been dying to do it since I learned about it. And in 2 days, it's already over 300,000 views. So you don't know necessarily what people will take to, but you do know that some travel stuff. We travel and shoot because we like it. We know not everybody digs it, so you don't want to poison your feed with too much travel. So it's all fun.
Couldn't you take advantage of Instagram stories or Facebook Reels or whatever, and not put stuff in the YouTube feed, but do Sam the Cooking Guy stuff behind the scenes, like digital storytell? You should maybe encompass and hug a little bit more on the digital storytelling.
We probably should, and I'm not good at that, and I don't know. I don't know.
I mean, I can put you in contact with somebody that's an expert.
Who's that? Is he coming up?
His name rhymes with Sean Walchef.
Sean Walchef. Is he one of the guys in Clubhouse right now? You think he lives there? He's got a permanent room.
No.
We don't embrace that nearly as much as we should. But
you think that would help or not? I don't think you think it would help.
Probably. Oh, I'm sure it would.
Oh.
I'm sure it would. And I'm not being, intentionally cavalier about it. But I mean,
I'm surprised maybe Max isn't on your ass a little bit more about that. That seems like something he would really champion.
No, he is not on my ass about that at all.
I wonder why.
Yeah.
He's probably too busy editing those videos. Probably need to get a new part-time Chance.
By the way, part-time Chance just got engaged.
He did?
Yeah. He was in Portugal last week.
Surprised it took that long. He's very strapping.
He's
dreamy
engaged
eyes.
to the great Carrie. He does have dreamy eyes. Yeah.
Yes. Right.
No,
Well,
look, there's lots to do. You know, we shoot YouTube a few days a week, and then the restaurants consume a bunch of time, and we're making some changes and adding new things to the menu. And I've been there a lot. And by the way, today's video is a Cinco de Mayo line. I don't know how long the video is, 18 minutes or maybe something like that. We did carne asada burrito. We did chili lime corn grilled. We did shrimp tacos. We did a chicken chorizo enchilada.
I think it's pronounced chorizo.
Okay. Choripollo. I made a margarita. I made a michelada. I made the hell else did I made? Oh, I made something called sangrita, a little non-alcoholic thing that you drink alongside the sipping tequila. That's Cap pissing on your shit back there?
No, but one's getting ready to jump up here. I can hear him.
Okay.
Mother
Well,
effer.
let him come up.
Oh, F him.
You would like a little love?
I was going to ask you about... Oh, cripes. Oh, do you do something special for tomorrow at the restaurants? For the nerds?
Do you mean for Friday?
No. Tomorrow. For the nerds.
What's tomorrow?
May the 4th be with you.
No. What am I going to do? Some fucking all black taco?
I don't know.
No, I don't do anything for nerds.
You have
We are
something
doing
against
something
black tacos?
We're going to make a black tortilla and I'd put, who knows, black charcoal powder on something, but that would be overdone. So
that's played.
Why would I want to do that? That's played.
That's right.
No, we're doing just a little, I make on the flat top, on the Blackstone, I'll be making cooking birria tacos Friday between 4 and 6, happy hour.
Oh, yeah.
Or Dos Horas Feliz hour, whatever you call it.
I don't know what you call
That'll
it.
be fine. A
Sounds
little
delicious.
elote corn. That'll be fun.
Is it the inside or the outside skirt steak that you want to use for tacos or whatever?
I don't know, actually. I go to a great butcher shop here in town called Cecil's. I don't think I've ever asked which it is.
You just asked for
outside.
skirt steak?
They only have one. I don't know what it is. It's always the same. It's always amazingly delicious. I make my carne asada with skirt steak. I know a lot of people use
flank.
Flank. I don't like flank.
I like flank.
Fuck the flank.
Oh, all right.
It's never nearly as tender as I want. You can't get it nearly as
Cook
tender.
it medium rare. What are you talking about?
No, stop it. No. Skirt steak's the way to go, man. Skirt steak.
I mean, I like it. That's my new favorite Mexican restaurant in Houston. Lupe Tortilla uses one of those inside or outside skirt steaks for their fajitas, and they're absolutely fabulous.
Not sure what it is.
Yeah, I'll ask Jess Pryor. She's an expert. She's a food scientist.
Yes, she's a food scientist. Skirt, absolutely fabulous. Yeah. When did you hear somebody go flank? Absolutely fabulous. People go flank. It's good. Great. Yeah, nice. I think it's overplayed. I think skirt is the new flank.
Maybe people are screwing their flank up. I cooked it 2 weeks ago.
I can cook a flank.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's
I
not
can
hard.
cook a flank, I think, as well as anybody, and I just think skirt wins.
All right. Well,
Put them side by side and try it.
All right. I'm not here to argue. I'm just saying
I
that
think you are.
Skirt. No, never.
People like it when we argue, so we'll give them what they want.
Well,
Fuck you.
great. Let me give them what they want then. I watched every single Smash video all month.
Attaboy. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, you're not going to thank me now because you know what? You know what I saw? I saw that Traeger Flat Rock sit in the back and not get used one fucking time.
Didn't use it?
That's weird because that seems like it would be a perfect product to use for smashing everything in a month. And yet, the Evo is chosen time and time and time. And 12
Can I
times
just
in a smash
okay,
month.
listen.
Hey,
listen.
You don't have to say anything at all.
We all
say
get your
anything at
hatred
all.
of Traeger. We all understand it.
Obviously not
Don't
just
we,
mine.
Doug?
Obviously
Doug
not just mine.
gets it. No. The Flat Rock is great, but I'm going to tell you
Is
something.
Doug behind you?
If you saw the amount of gear that the boys have to deal with, and going over there, it's a pain in the ass.
Yes, hiking 2 cameras, 10 feet is terrible.
Max has got no. There's 3 cameras. Max has got one of them on this dolly system. Listen, when you got 1 camera in front of you, come try our setup sometime and then see how easy it is.
Hey,
and if you don't have
pal,
to do it, you don't have to do it.
What are you talking about? I have these things. I have these things. I have this thing. I have this thing. I have all these monitors. I have the confidence monitor up there as well.
Now, guess what? Now I say to you, I want you to take all your gear and go upstairs to the fucking kitchen.
Yeah, but this is a live show, Jack.
Doesn't matter. Same thing.
What do you mean it doesn't matter? When you're recording, it matters everything. Of course. You can set it up. You're saying plenty. You're saying plenty. You're saying plenty.
20 times worse. Don't.
You're saying plenty.
People don't want to hear you complain about this.
I'm not complaining.
You're complaining about my workflow. Tell you about my workflow.
Let me tell you this.
Go ahead. Please tell me I've said it all and end my pain here tonight.
Shit my damn pants wrote in through instant chat. I feed my dog raw chicken. Don't do that.
There you go.
Look, I think shit my damn pants I'm sorry. Shit my damn pants underscore. In case you want to follow him on Twitch. I think dogs have different digestive systems, so you can do that.
Would you eat eggs that had been left out overnight?
Well, yeah. I mean, you just that would be a egg, right?
Do you refrigerate your eggs?
Yeah, because they come refrigerated. Yeah. But I mean, would you eat
an egg if you walked into a supermarket and they were not refrigerated?
Sure, they could have came right from the farm. I could walk up the street and go grab an egg out of the what do you call those things?
Same concept.
A coop.
I think it's the same concept with the chicken.
Well,
the
of
shit
course
that's
not.
Fresh gets consumed. Of course,
chickens have E. coli breeding all over them.
No, stop it.
Yes, they do.
We shot in Hong Kong.
Don't make me get Mrs. Meathead on here.
We shot at Meathead.
No, Mrs. Meathead.
Oh, Mrs. Meathead. Jess?
No.
Who's Mrs.
Meathead's wife, Mrs. Meathead, is a now retired microbiologist for the Food and Drug Administration.
I don't want to hear her doomsday business. Stop it. Would Mrs. Meathead be okay with them selling meat in Hong Kong at a stall
in the Dong Dong district?
Oh, that's Seoul. I'm talking Hong Kong. It's a whole other country.
Where's that?
Hong Kong. It's in China.
Oh, forget China. They're insufferable.
We shot there and in an outdoor market
in China.
And I'm in Hong Kong, and I'm talking to a guy at a meat stand. No refrigeration, meat hanging. And I said to him, I have to ask this question: is there not an issue with it being not refrigerated?
Was it cured?
He goes, everything was fresh today. Everything will be bought today. Everything will be cooked today. That's how they do it here.
That's a way to do it.
People aren't getting sick.
That's a way to do it.
That's the way to do it.
Yeah.
Same thing with the chicken. Kill the chicken, cut it up, serve it, you're done. It's all fine. I think we worry too much.
All right. Well, I think we now have a topic that I'm going to be asking Meathead about next week. And I'm going to have him bring Mrs. Meathead in as a consult. And then in 2 months' time, I'll ask...
You can chastise me.
Another food scientist, Jess Pryles, about this and see. Here's what I think is going to happen. I think they're going to say, look, it's assumed risk. Sam's probably more right than he is wrong. But know that if you're going to do it, you're going to be taking a certain amount of risk, even if it's, been killed and blooded out or bled out or whatever the hell you call it. As fresh as it can be, short of biting its own head off and eating it with feathers on. But there's going to be risk more than if we didn't do these items.
Then ask the question also while you're asking is about steak tartare. Throw that into the mix.
Well, we've already talked about that before. It's not different. That's an assumed risk. Yeah. Which, I mean, because I love to live in hypocrisy. That's the state that I live in with the city, the capital city of hypocrisy. I eat beef carpaccio, which is raw, thinly sliced Wagyu beef with capers and arugula, and it's delicious.
Do you like tartare?
I've only had it once. I wasn't a fan of the texture, and I was a little weirded out that I might get sick, but I didn't. Again, assumed risk. So, I think me asking this question...
Why would you get weirded out? Wait, why would you think you would get sick with
because
tartare
raw meat. Raw meat in a ground, but in a ground state.
Concept.
But in a ground state, it's more dangerous.
It is not.
No, 100%.
If you say 100%.
Yes, if you have two pieces of whole meat, right?
Two pieces of whole meat that you cut side by side off a animal.
Yeah.
And one you slice and one you chop up.
Yes.
You're saying the chopped up one is.
Tartare is ground, right?
Not necessarily. No.
Not. Here's what I think.
It can be ground, but in fancy places,
yes,
they'll knife it
like a fine dice.
State.
A fine dice.
Yes. And so, why is ground bad in your mind?
Well, ground is bad because if you have two whole pieces. And then you grind one, whatever bacteria is now on the surface of the meat is now in the middle of the meat. So even if you're cooking it, you're not killing the bacteria that has now been forced into the middle of the meat.
So if you've got two pieces, you've ground one, whatever's in the middle or on the outside is now in the middle.
Yeah.
What about the one that you slice, whatever's on the outside? It's still going in your mouth.
Yes, but I think there's less risk. Plus, I can cut the top part of the meat off if I want, or I can boil. I can boil a pot of water and do a quick dip.
We're not boiling anything. We got raw versus raw, buddy. Raw versus raw.
I don't think I want to eat anything raw. I'll stick with the lamb heart and testicle paste over at Larder and be safe.
We got to get you to some other countries where some shit's going on. It's interesting.
No.
Yeah.
Why would I? You go to all the countries.
You have a bowl of ramen with like a raw egg yolk on top and mix that in or rice ever?
Raw egg yolk?
Yeah.
Like strain like a cracked egg over it?
Yes. No.
I guess
no white.
I mean, I've drank raw.
Do you do
raw yolks? No, I don't. I don't think to do it. I would do it, but I don't think to do it. I don't eat a lot of ramen.
I'm telling you, a bowl of rice, hot steamed, fresh white rice.
Yeah.
With some like Korean style bulgogi beef.
Yeah.
Some vegetables, some green onion, and then one raw egg yolk, no white.
Yeah.
On top that you mix into the hot rice.
I'm down.
It's incredible.
I'm down. I used to put sunny side up egg on my rice. And then, break it up.
Sunny side up.
Yeah. So now I'll just excuse all the cooking. I'll excuse the cooking and just put the raw. Yes. Yeah, the little nice succulence and richness to the rice that's otherwise kind of plain.
How about tartare with a little quail egg yolk on top?
That's how it came when I had it.
You're good with that. You're good with that.
It wasn't my favorite. It was fine. It wasn't my favorite. It wasn't my favorite. I'd rather have carpaccio. Sam, what am I making for dinner tomorrow night?
I think you should go make the chicken chorizo enchiladas that we made that were so damn good. Go check the video. All the recipes are there. Or make a carne asada burrito with skirt steak. And my carne asada, I'm going to put up against almost anybody's. I've had actual people from Mexico come up to me and say, "Oh my God, your carne asada is so delicious."
Oh.
But I wouldn't tell my grandmother that you put soy sauce in it. Soy
because
sauce, just
that's against the law.
No, it's not against the law. It's just weird to them, I think.
I guess.
Weird to old school people.
Sam, you've said it all.
I think
you've done it.
Waiting for this moment.
You've done it once more. I don't know how much further we could possibly know more about you this very evening. But you've said it, and we're so fortunate that you spend one Tuesday, the very first Tuesday of the month in the second hour with us. I'm grateful for all these years of
I wouldn't have it
content,
any other way.
friendship. And I can't wait to see what we're going to be talking about in June.
I'm sure we're going to be talking about food safety.
We will probably have a recap with my scientist.
Information that you get from Mrs. Meathead.
That's right. We're going to corral Mrs.
Jess.
Meathead, bring her out of retirement.
Jess will beat the shit out of anything that I've ever said.
That's right.
They will come up with the opinion that do not listen to anything Sam the cooking guy has to say.
Do you hear what Sam says? He is not the expert.
You are not. I'm not saying I'm an expert. I'm saying this is what I like.
He's not the food scientist. Listen to the science.
By the way,
yeah.
Don't keep your butter in the fridge. Or keep some butter in the fridge.
Never.
Keep the rest of it in a container.
I have Amish rolled butter.
And by the way, that
in
butter,
the
that butter bell thing, you know what the butter bell is?
No.
It's a 2-part system. You take this and you put butter in it, okay? Fill it up to the top. Then this, you put like an inch of water in. And now the butter part goes in and sits against a layer of water that presumably keeps it okay, which means when you lift it up, you get wet butter.
Yeah, why?
It's mental. It's stupid. Go look up Butterbell. I bet you somebody watching has used or been in a home that has had a Butterbell.
I've never even heard of it. How often are you not using butter to where you're worried about it going bad? That's a crime in itself.
Dude, I talk about it all the time, my butter out. And I often get people writing going, you know, my grandmother used to do that, but I don't know if I'm okay with that. Those people would probably be okay with all your food concerns.
Yes, well, I can imagine.
Just eat and be fine with it.
We're going to do that, and we're going to try the asada chorizo.
Carne asada chorizo.
Right. And
you don't have to say chorizo.
If we aren't already, we're going to subscribe
Cinco de Mayo,
to you.
everybody.
And may the 4th be with you, Sam.
No, I've never once said that. I will never say that.
We'll see you in June. How about that?
Yes, right. I will talk to you before then.
All right. There he is. Sam, the cooking guy. TheCookingGuy.com is the website if you would like his products, which I am encouraging all of you to go get multiples of, especially the BFF. Do that at shopstcg.com. That's shopstcg.com. Shopstcg. Sam the Cooking Guy, stcg.com. All the way back in the first hour was Malcom Reed from How to BBQ Right, howtobbqright.com, and Killer Hogs, the pitmaster of that team. We segmented it after Malcolm, and then we got into it with Sam the Cooking Guy, who carried the balance of the second hour, which I certainly appreciate. Big show planned for you next week. Meathead is in, Robert Moss is in, and don't forget, on Monday, the 8th, at 3 p.m. Eastern, we will be revealing the 10 finalists for the Barbecue Hall of Fame. 3 of those, maybe 4 of those, will make it into the 2023 Barbecue Hall of Fame class. So stay tuned for that. Follow me on social at BBQ Central Show on all the platforms to make sure that you are updated with all of that. And we'll make sure that we are ready to rock and roll with Elizabeth and Robert Moss from the American Royal and RobertFMoss.com. Obviously, you know him. So how do I always leave you? September 11th, 2001. I will never forget. Till next Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern. This is your program host and proud U.S. American, Greg Rempe. Bye-bye.
This is Steve, the Cookout Coach, and you're listening to the Barbecue Central Show.